when you're doing chordal stuff like that, I mean, I notice I see your left hand, repositioning almost all the time to try and be able to get that. But also, it sounded like you were leaving a lot of open G's in there. Mm-hmm. How can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, well, the piece was really written a lot around the idea of having a drone, and in fact, so much so that the song that it goes into afterwards, "Not Forsaken," which we'll talk about more in a second, is based on sort of that same idea. So having this G drone, it's a neat way to almost leave a feeling of almost a resolution, like unanswered question type. That's when I hear the drone type of playing like that. To me, that's what I pick up from it. So this piece is in a key. It's based around G major. So it's convenient and almost necessary then for me to center it around an open G drone in order to accomplish that sound. So.
And then the fact that you're doing it on a 6-string gives you some melody that you could put over top of it from a register standpoint. So it's just kind of hiding in the middle there,
exactly,
and just gluing everything together.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Thanks.
Then the next piece, like you said, is "Not Forsaken," which is kind of the solo piece. Actually leads into this.
Yeah, and when you hear. Still plays on that idea. It's just a more compositionally developed, full piece, and it's got a little more of an experimental production approach. I did a lot of loop programming and just in trying to create textures, blending different things together. The only other instruments on the track besides bass are lap steel and acoustic guitar. So sort of a unique departure for me in what I've done in the past.
Not Forsaken?
Yeah, Not Forsaken. That's actually based on a couple Bible verses, Psalms, Book of Psalms, and then the verses are 9 to 11, and it's based on the theme of all not being for naught here in this life and time. So so I wanted to have a theme piece that really elevated that idea.
And then track 8 is, I can't read my own handwriting, but it's The Good Foot. Is that what it is?
The Good Foot. Which that's where that title probably came from. It's James Brown. It's a tip of the hat to him. That's another one of the more straightforward type of funk tunes, which was completely based around just a bass line, 3, 4. So it's a thing where that driving bass line really was the glue that brought all the rest of the piece together. Yeah. So it's one of the more simpler arrangements on the record for sure.
Yeah. And then the album closer, at least in the traditional sense, is track 9, Il Cuore del Campione. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, The Heart of a Champion.
The Heart of a Champion. Okay, got it. You are Italian.
Yeah.
Adam Nitti, so there you go, some real Italian there.
Yeah.
And this has, like the first track, it has Marco Miniman on drums.
Yep.
And this one is a nightmare for bass players. If you want to try and learn it, that's all I could say.
Yeah, and it's still a nightmare for me, and I'm fearing the day where we try to do this one live. But this was one of the two ultra high energy barn burner types of tunes on the record. The other being the album opener, and one of the challenging parts of this particular tune. There's a 16th note bass line that I play, like a plucked 16th note thing. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So okay, now let's break that down a little
Yeah.
bit. Because basically you've got the 1 chord and then it shifts up to the flat 2 chord for a little bit, but you've got that every 2 note pattern do 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 for a little while, but then it shifts to yeah. Okay, so for the people watching at home, one thing that I want to point out, watching that as a bass player, is that there is no raking down on that at all. It is all entirely traditionally finger picked, alternating picking. It's perfect technique.
Well, yeah, it's not very perfect right now, but
but really, I mean, like for people who are practicing these exercises at home, this is one of the this is the extreme application of correct finger alternating technique.
Well, yeah, and it actually, the line itself is a great exercise in alternation, but in also incorporating the string crossing, because it's one thing. It's challenge enough to be playing 16th notes, with the alternating fingering on a single string. But to actually do it and then cross.
Yeah.
That becomes a little harder, because now you've got to take the concentration of movement and move it to the other strings on the bass. So that was a real challenge in recording it as well, because I had to really, first of all, do a lot of practicing to get to where I could execute it without falling on my face. And so got worked up to this one particular place, and then in the actual tracking of the tune, there was the concern with cleanliness and playing, executing it even more accurately, because recordings, as any of you know who've done recording before, they expose a lot of weaknesses. Whereas sometimes in live shows we can kind of, our playing kind of gets disguised by everything else that's happening on stage, or the noise of the amplifier. But yeah, when you break it down to nothing but the naked bass line, you really got to be on top of it. So yeah, it took a lot of prep work, more so than any of the other grooves on the record, to be able to play that as accurately as I wanted it to be and needed it to be.
Cool.